Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I start in the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. I present a motor that runs on gravity, rotates from the rest, could replace fossil fuels and transform the global economy as well as resolve climate change issues. I'm Air Commodore Zahoor, retired from Pakistan Air Force as a fighter pilot. I've flown all kinds of aircraft, including F-16, etc. My email address, cell numbers are written here. All kind of theoretical as well as implementation methods are made available free of cost. With this, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present this gravitational motor, a gravity-based motor with the potentials to benefit the world economy by trillions and trillions of dollars. That's what we perceive. And inshallah, that is what would happen. A major breakthrough in utilizing gravitational force and addressing the climate change crisis. No such beneficial employment of gravitational force has ever been proposed in the past. It is not, seems to be a very tall claim, but it is not something very, very tall. But I'm sure it's a humble effort which you would realize as we progress in the presentation. The proposal could be a revolutionary step towards utilization of gravitational force as a primary energy resource. Aim of this presentation is to present a gravity-based mechanism usefully utilizing significant amount of gravitational force, providing huge benefits. Gravitational force is the force behind all the universal processes. Space-time meshing, black holes, shooting stars, dying stars, collision of galaxies, creation of galaxies, etc. All are manifestations of gravitational force. Ladies and gentlemen, the gravitational force always attracted the people, and first such registration was done with the US Patent Office in 1840, that means around 185 years back. Most proposals primarily use the single bar or the first type of lever, extending first or one of the lever arms to greater lengths for useful work. I say again, most of the proposals in front of us, registered in the past, they basically use single bar lever, extending one of the lever arms to greater lengths for useful work. Such proposals mostly included employment of the single bar lever, as I mentioned, also pendulum, single oblique double wheel to exploit gravitational force, but primarily they all have based on first type or first class lever. Here we are going to show you some of the mechanisms proposed in the past. One of the wheel shown here, a single wheel mechanism of limited arm extension. The limited arm extension is shown by parenthesis shown in yellow with insignificant benefits. Similarly, another proposal, we keep watching many places. Again here, a single wheel mechanism of limited arm extension with insignificant benefits. Another one, ladies and gentlemen, here the extension due to the color contrast is shown here in dark blue. And this mechanism of limited arm extension also provides insignificant benefits. Another one, ladies and gentlemen, the yellow color shows the extension of the arm, which is obviously very limited, and it also provides limited benefits. Here comes another one of the latest, still providing insignificant benefits because of the limited extension. And if you see the central location of the lever bar, and that is the black circular item that has complicated gear system inside and uses a lot of force for the operation of the system and provides insignificant benefits. The latest in the series of historical proposals, a single wheel mechanism, a proposed Tesla's future gravity charger, is also aimed at extension of mainly single bar lever arm, providing limited benefits. And ladies and gentlemen, if you pay attention, as a matter of fact, it also takes help of the magnetism, the help of magnetic poles indicated here in blue and maroon color, dark maroon color. So it also provides absolutely insignificant benefits, not put into practice in competitive manner vis-a-vis other energy resources. In same manner, single wheel multi-bar mechanisms. Now we are shifting on to multi-bar mechanisms, again of limited arm extension with insignificant benefits. Here again, a multi-wheel mechanism with complicated gear structure at its back, also providing insignificant benefits. Another one, double wheel mechanism of limited arm extension with insignificant benefits. Another one, double wheel mechanism of limited extension with insignificant benefits. Ladies and gentlemen, all these proposals of the past, a lot of work has gone into these, a lot of effort by the people, but till date, no gravitational based mechanism has been put into practice in a competitive and economic manner. Most of the historical proposals use the first class lever with single bar or multi-bar effort arms or single or double wheels providing limited extension of the longer arms with insignificant benefits. Historical proposals, ladies and gentlemen, offer maximum of around 2.5 extension of the single bar effort arm, providing limited net benefits because most of the effort is consumed by the resistance, the system inertia, and the residual force left is in no competition and in no comparison to other energy resources to put these proposals in competitive manner. Whereas this proposal promises to provide extension of the effort arm by many fold. When I say many fold, you would realize when we carry out the comparison with some other proposals, as we progress in the presentation, you would see this proposal provides net benefit of converting huge amount of gravitational force by pairing two different type of levers, providing manifold benefits vis-a-vis historical proposals. We move forward, ladies and gentlemen. As I have mentioned, that the historical proposals, they make use of the first class lever shown here on the screen on the top, which does not allow us to significantly exploit the gravitational force due to structural limits. Whereas the proposal utilizes combination of two types of or two classes of levers to be explained in the screens to come. Okay, first the history of this proposal. Initially, to promote better methods, the historical guidelines of using single oblique two wheels mechanisms were followed by us, and we also ended up manufacturing 40 such number of mechanisms. Some of the glimpses shown on the next screens. 40 such number of mechanisms, following historical guidelines of making use of the first class lever, but in insignificant manner. Our effort included, like one shown here on the screen on the left side, two group wheels with weights transfer on the railings. Another one, two group wheels mechanism with weights transfer through chains. Another was with chain mechanisms, gearing of separated wheels, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, our efforts also included float-based mechanisms, indicated here on the screen. Final design by following the historical methods we thought presented here on the screen would do the trick. And we finally designed and fabricated a proposal on these lines. However, we did not succeed to convert significant amount of gravitational force into useful work. As a matter of fact, what I expected, the converted gravitational force did not exceed more than 25% what we expected. Okay, moving forward, a lot of day and night work continued, and my white hairs continued to go whiter, also start falling more, and the work continued. However, nothing worked to design something significantly useful. I say again, by following the historical methods and designing and fabricating over 40 such fabrications, nothing worked to design something significantly useful. We finally gave up the efforts to follow the historical guidelines of using first class type of lever and single and double wheel combination. As such, intense efforts were made to promote some better ideas. We made a pertinent conclusion as we look back. According to us, the historical single bars oblique wheel mechanism to be significantly developed if the gravitational force was to be exploited competitively. So we thought that the mechanisms still going on the historical lines, these need to be developed in a much more significant manner. Otherwise, nothing much is going to come about in a useful manner. Because the historical section, like one shown here, imagine the extension of the main arm by this parenthesis shown here in red is obviously highly insignificant and using only first class lever, a single bar mechanism. Ladies and gentlemen, all these historical fabrications of single and multi-bars wheels mechanisms employed single bar first class lever with limited extension of the longer arm to promote force differential of limited benefits. Obviously, as a consequence of which, nothing worked to usefully exploit the gravitational force. So what we did was, we redefined our objectives. He said, if at all we have to really in a real significant manner have to exploit the gravitational force, the mechanism proposed shall, number one, increase the useful downward gravitational effort by many fold. The gravitational effort exploited by the proposal should increase by many fold and reduce the opposing gravitational load to the least. He said these two should be our objectives. And now let's see the methods available to us to do all this. Again, we sat down on the board. For months, I kept looking at this screen which is depicted in front of you, trying to analyze the types or the classes of levers. And to serve the objectives, we started to look into various options. To promote the objectives defined, that is the effort to be increased by manifold and load to be restricted to as minimum as possible. We further analyze the issue, and it was concluded that if the main objectives of manifold utilization of gravitational force is to be fulfilled, then we need to separate the functions of effort and load by employing two wheels of different classes of levers. I say again, we said if the exploitation of gravitational force has to be increased, we need to separate the functions of effort and load of the mechanism by employing wheels with different classes of levers instead of the historical use of only first class lever. Second conclusion was that the joint application of first, oblique second, or third class levers has to be analyzed, looked into, so as to provide multiple options and see what could we do to exploit greater exploitation of the greater use of gravitational force. Gentlemen, so as per the guidelines identified to ourselves, we analyze the following possible combinations of the three classes of levers identified in front of you on the screen. We tried all the combinations, and finally, the first and third class levers combination indicated hope and promise to us. With additional analysis, the breakthrough emerged, and finally, the combination of first and third class levers adopted to fabricate the test and demonstration model. I say again that with whatever research work, analysis, scrutiny we carried out, we realized that the combination of first and third class levers could serve a purpose, and started to fabricate a test and demonstration model. While trying to fabricate the demonstration model, further broke the objectives. A two wheels model was developed to separate their functions with an aim to achieve application of first class lever only on the effort wheel. I say again, as part of separation of the functions, we said first class lever to be applied only on the effort wheel to increase the length of effort arm by manifold, maybe to hundreds of times. I say again, as a consequence of the separation of the function, we said we should enjoy, if we want to increase the exploitation of gravitational force by manifold, we should enjoy the freedom to extend the effort arm by many folds. In the same very manner, application of third class lever on third wheel, which could permanently limit the load to effort ratio, not load effort, but load to effort ratio or load wheel to as less as 0.2 of a basic load unit. That means whatever opposing load is put against the effort arm or the effort lever, we said E must limit the load factor as low as possible, and we have been successful in doing that and keeping the load arm permanently restricted to just 0.2 FO basic load unit. We will further explain this. Whereas the effort arm could be extended to hundreds of times because of the separation of the functions. On the next screen right here, we depict the complete drawing of the mechanism based on the concept we identified in the preceding screens. if you pay attention, ladies and gentlemen, you realize if we have written all the parts on the screen itself, it would have created a lot of congestion. That's why we numbered all the parts and have written their depiction, written their names and their nomenclature in brackets. This depicts the complete drawing of the mechanism, and the same would be, all the parts, the associated parts would again be depicted and elaborated on the screens to come. Additionally, same would also be further elaborated, indicated, as well as shown during the depiction of the demonstration model. With this, ladies and gentlemen, I would again carry out the comparison with the some of the fabrication placed in the past. On the left side is the Tesla's latest battery charger proposal. On the right side is our proposal, the basic outline of our proposal, where the red line, the red parenthesis of effort arm indicates that the proposal could provide extension of the effort arm to any limit, whereas the load arm indicated on the screen in blue color would remain restricted to 0.2 of the basic load value. We would draw the results a little while after. Another comparison with historical proposal here also, you would realize that the comparison of the red and the blue parenthesis indicates the force differential benefit, the huge force differential benefit which could be offered by the proposal we are offering. Another comparison, this also surely indicates the potential of the proposal to provide huge force differential for useful work. As a matter of consequence, the production of significant force differential between the longer effort and shorter arms is achieved. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, continuing with the anatomy. Now here we have separated the indication of effort arm on the left side of the screen of the proposal and the load arm on the right side of the screen. The arrows on the left side, they indicate that the red arrow indicates the going down of the effort wheel, weight placed on the effort wheel, and the blue color of the arrow indicates the going up of the weight placed on the load arm. This indicates even just a cursory look on this screen indicate that the red arrow and the blue arrow, the comparison of their lengths would indicate how much of force differential could be produced between load arm and the effort arm. The yellow arrow on this screen presents the basic load. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving ahead and be allowed to indicate that the demonstration model's longer arm, the demonstration model which we have fabricated and would be showing you on the screens, is 18.5 inches long, and smaller arm is just around 2 inches, which provides us the threshold, minimum threshold force differential to rotate the mechanism. We would go into these details in a little while. Okay, continuing with the anatomy, again indicating to you the difference between the extension of the load arm, which is shown here in blue. The load arm remains permanently constant, as we have already identified, to 0.2 of the basic load value, whereas the red arrow indicates the extension of the effort arm by many folds. And as a consequence of this, allow me to draw this conclusion that no such degree of advantage has been offered in any of the historical proposals. And in the same manner, no such degree of restriction of opposing force has been offered in any of the historical proposals. And that means by keeping the opposing force constant shown here in blue arrows, whereas extending the effort arm to any limit shown here, extension of the yellow arrow to the red arrow, this red arrow, which is the effort arm, could be extended to any limit, whereas keeping opposing force constant means what? Means opposing force remaining constant, permanently constant. But question comes how? How come this is possible? And on the other hand, as part of the separation of functions, how come we are enjoying the kind of freedom that is extension of the effort arm to any limit and keeping the load arm to a permanently very low figure? Okay. Next screens would identify this aspect. Okay. Separation of the functions that we have already identified, ladies and gentlemen. That means as a consequence of separation of functions, see here the blue arrows and the associated black circle with two waves indicating the permanency of the load arm, permanency of the keeping load arm to constant, whereas the red arrow and the oval type extension of the effort arm circle indicates the extension of effort arm to any value. I say again, any value. When this happens, now look at the angles. The angular movement required when the load arm, the smaller circle, is placed close to the center of the effort arm, but when it gets extended, goes outer and outer, the size of the load arm or the loads lever wheel remaining constant. It is indicated here that the as and as we go out on the outer side of the periphery of the effort arm, load arc of the load lever wheel continues to remain same, and it would require lesser and lesser force by the effort arm for the said opposing force to be neutralized. To ensure the coordinated movement of the wheels, appropriate gearing maintains coordinated movement of both the wheels. And this is what we have practiced and made out even in the case of the demonstration model, which would be indicating a little later. So here I would again repeat some things. As we extend the effort arm, the load wheel size, which is remaining constant, and its arm also remaining constant, also moves out on the periphery of the effort wheel. And with this, the angular force requirement to take care of the opposing force of the load arm, with the extension of the effort arm, you would be requiring lesser and lesser force. Imagine lesser and lesser force needed by the effort wheel to take care of the opposing force, whereas the effort force is continuously increasing. So I may be allowed to draw the result that with increasing effort arm, load arm would continue to reduce. Increasing effort arm, reducing load. This is something which is very interesting. It is the result of the combination of first class and the third class lever. It is the result of the separation of the functions of the load and the effort arm, or the load and the effort field. And this is the actual result of the fabrication. We would, as we continue, we would realize that we would indicate that in case of our demonstration model, one of the elements is still to be put on the wheels, but despite that, the basic advantage and the basic perception and genesis of the proposal would be has been defined right at this stage. That means increasing effort, reducing load. Result of separation of functions, result of separation of the function of the load and the effort fields, as depicted here in front of you. Ladies and gentlemen, having identified the basic concept of separation of functions and the associated bigger wheel of effort arm and the smaller wheel of load arm, it has been identified with this separation of functions of effort and load arms. Both arms could be joined together as indicated here, still performing their function in such a manner that the effort arm could be extended to unlimited lengths, while keeping the load arm to a permanent size of very, very small length. And as a consequence of which, we could draw huge results of conversion of gravitational force into useful work. A small bit of indication of comparison of this separation of functions of the proposal with historical aspects. On the left side of the screen, what we are showing is the single bar lever, and on the right side of the screen, single bar lever getting converted into a wheel, as is the case with the historical methods, historical proposals, where this combination of single bar levers is converted into wheels being depicted here on the screen, and as a consequence of the small force differential which is produced with the help of this kind of combination, the wheel is being depicted here. However, this wheel cannot be extended to unlimited size, where only the effort arm is extended to huge limits. If we do that, this lopsided structure of a single wheel, where the effort arm or the outer side of the wheel is getting extended to unlimited lengths, and the load arm, which is depicted with the blue weights, remains there. This kind of lopsided structure or mechanism cannot operate and cannot give us the kind of results or the kind of aims which we try and achieve, of that of trying to exploit the gravitational force to huge limits. So, ladies and gentlemen, the historical methods based on single bar lever, when converted into wheel structure, cannot serve the purpose of significant amount of conversion of gravitational force into useful work. Whereas, as depicted here, as a consequence of separation of functions, the effort and the load arms performing their role in a typical manner, we could hugely exploit the gravitational force. So, gentlemen, allow me to re-identify, as a consequence of the separation of functions and the ease of operation of two separate wheels in the name of effort and load wheels, the proposal presents a highly useful option of employing gravitational force. And in that, two wheels of different type of levers, that is first and third class, provide requisite independent operation without much of mutual restriction. The effort arm could be extended to any limit, I say again, at the cost of repetition, independent of the size of load arm, converting huge amount of gravitational force for useful work. Whereas historical methods do not provide any such facility. allow me to draw another conclusion that the useful force differential produced by the two wheels could be enhanced to tens of hundreds of times with the historical proposals. Because if we keep, as we have already explained, the size of the load arm or the load wheel constant to minimum values, whereas we have the freedom to extend the effort arm, the longer lever arm to any limit, then the usefulness of this fabrication could be multiplied by many, many times, maybe even to hundreds of times. As a result of significant force differential, ladies and gentlemen, when released, the mechanism which we have developed, very small and manually developed mechanism, it starts moving right from this rest position. Based on what we have presented, what we have identified, the separation of functions and the relative sizing as well as ratioing of the gears, we have developed the demonstration module which starts moving right from the rest position. Would indicate it in a little while. Okay, the demonstration model itself coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the, before I start moving, okay, this movie, here is the plan view of the demonstration model, developed exactly in accordance with the drawing already shown to you. The bigger wheel here indicates the longer lever side. On the other side, the central gear on the bigger wheel indicates the basic lever arm, which gets multiplied with the peripheral size as being indicated here. Along with that, we have the load wheel, the smaller load wheel identified by the pointer, which is hardly 2-inch radius as far as the lever arm is concerned. The bigger gear shown here is a filler gap, whereas the basic bigger wheel as well as the smaller wheel is being indicated on the screen. And the central bigger gear is just a filler gap, a connection between the smaller and the bigger wheel. Here we are trying to indicate that the bigger wheel's arm is 18.5 inches, whereas the load arm length is hardly 2 inches. Here, the gearing of the system is being indicated through the camera. And this fabrication enjoys a lot of limitations because of the limitation which we have faced. My limitation in terms of my expertise, the expertise of the workshop people available to us, the workshop owner, who is just a class 4 servant in Pakistan Aeronautical Complex, has been providing us highly valuable help. In the same manner, my son Saad Sheikh, Hasib, Hamad, and other associated people have been providing us great help. You would see that on the bigger wheel, the weight attachment mechanism has not been installed because that is requiring a lot of accuracy for transfer of weights between the two wheels. And for that purpose, we have asked 2 engineers from AWC to help us out because the wheels are moving in opposite direction. The weights have to be shifted accordingly in keeping the associated crossing speed of the wheels. I have the limitations and I feel I need the help of these people, and we have requested the help of these people. And we are continuing with the combination. The last item, that is the weight transfer mechanism, is being developed by those 2 engineers. They would be installing. But till this place, the whole concept has been very well defined and put across to you. Okay. Now, next step, we were trying to show that the length of the bigger arm and the smaller side on the right side of the red mark indicates the length of the smaller arm. And when these two are put against one another, the similar kind of weights are put on the bigger wheel as well as the smaller wheel, which would then indicate to you or demonstrate to you the movement of the system right from the rest position. Another aspect which I would like to identify is that this fabrication has been developed just to demonstrate the minimum kind of force differential which we need to develop so that we could show you the movement right from the rest position. We are just trying to show the side view, the combination of the small gears with the bigger gears mechanism. And in the next step, you would see that we would be indicating the movement from rest of the mechanism. Now, the two weights are being indicated on the screen. These two weights, the similar weights, they are about 188 grams in weight. Both these weights are now being placed, one on the bigger wheel, encatchment cup inside, and the encatchment cup on the side of the smaller wheel. Now, when we release these wheels, you would see, actually I'm holding the bigger wheel with my, the camera would show you with my left hand. When we release this, you would see that the bigger wheel start to move downward and the smaller wheel, which is carrying the load, will start to move upward. So, in fact, next moment you would see it more clearly. We just see, if we release the wheels because of the force differential, it would start to move right from the rest position. Again, trying to indicate that. And if I don't hold this, let's say with the left hand I'm holding this, right hand I'm trying to point out. If you don't hold it, right away the wheel, as per the force differential produced here, would start to move. So what we are indicating here is that the small fabrication just developing the threshold force requirement to start moving the structure from the rest position. If we extend, let's say, the bigger wheel, which I am holding with my right hand at this moment, to greater limits, it would provide force much more than what is being made available at this time, which is just taking care of the inertia of this system at this moment is small fabrication, the resistance of the system, the gearing ratios, and the opposing force being put by the weight on the smaller wheel. So here we have the demonstration model, whose last step of putting the weights around the bigger wheel is are in progress. However, till this place, we can very well define the basic concept, the whole idea behind it, and the minimum demonstration of the movement right from the rest position, which is a major question by all the observers and the analysts, that how would it move? So we are indicating all that. It's movement from the rest position. And if we extend the longer arm and keep the smaller wheel of the same size, as we have already explained, because of the separation of the functions and combination of the two classes of levers, you would enjoy much greater exploitation of the gravitational force. In fact, huge exploitation of the gravitational force, which would be much more competitive vis-a-vis even all kind of present energy resources. We would carry out a smaller bit of comparison of this statement of mine, which I have just given, its usefulness vis-a-vis other energy resources. We would carry out the analysis and comparison in a little while. So just see this. The fabrication, the longer arm wheel, the shorter arm wheel, the filler gap in between these two wheels, and the weights placed here. Anytime you leave it, the structure would start to move. As I'm holding it from my left hand, I leave it. It just moves. I'm sure they would in the next shot they would just show you the plan view of the structure. Where again, let's say if the structure is left to apply its forces, left free, as it I'm holding with the my right hand, the structure would move on its own. So, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, till this place we have carried out the explanation of the basic concept and its demonstration in relation to the basic concept. The fabrication we have made is still not complete, but it is still complete in its concept and demonstration. Next actually step is just the weight transfer mechanism between the wheels, which is also in progress, but we thought that we should present it right even in this stage because people have much more expertise and the organization has much greater expertise available to do that. Whereas during this time, I observed and realized that people are suffering, especially because of the climate change issues and the energy problems also, especially the poor people of the world, they are suffering very, very badly. So we thought that even at this stage, while we are still completing the fabrication by completing and fabricating its weight transfer mechanism, we should present it to the people who have much greater expertise and the facilities available to complete this project. Here again, in the just to complete the visual depiction of the demonstration model, the last glimpse of the weights placed on smaller and the bigger wheel, and the moment we leave this, it moves on its own. The moment you leave it, I'm holding it with the left hand. If I leave it, it moves on its own. So, because of the force differential which is present here between the two wheels. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, with this, we would move on to indicate to you the comparison between this proposal and the use of other energy resources vis-a-vis the gravitational mechanism. I'm holding on here just to see another glimpse of the model. All these details are available to you free of cost. Anyone who needs, just see the last one. Again, if I leave it, it starts moving on its own. Okay. With permission of you, ladies and gentlemen and excellencies, now I would move on to the next. Here again, we are indicating the effort arm and the load arm, the combination of this, the restricted size of the load wheel and the load arm shown here in the blue, and the extension of the effort arm in the form of red arrow. The extension of effort arm to greater lengths and permanent restriction of the load arm to as low as 0.2 times of the basic load units are pivotal parameters of the basic concept, pivotal aspects of the basic concept, and the primary indicators of the test and demonstration model. And finally, the relative sizes of the effort and load arms and their gauge ratios govern the coordinated movement of the wheels. That means with extension of the effort arm or reduction of the load arm, the gear ratios would change, the relative speeds of the wheels would change. To take care of that, ladies and gentlemen, we are also developing the metrics to manage coordinated movement of the wheels with varying arc speeds and length of the effort arm. I say again, that the development of a matrix to take care of the varying arc speeds of both the wheels is also in progress. Okay. We also carried out the rotational check, the animated rotational check, that also indicates the benefits of pairing of first and the third class levers. Here you would see on the screen that the bigger wheel indicates the bigger wheel. The smaller wheel, shown in the black color, and where it is also it also has the red, blue, and a light blue weights attached to it. Actually, out of this, the blue weight on the bottom is attached to the smaller lever, whereas on this side, that is the small, that is the light blue color is actually empty. On the top, the red color, the red weight is actually attached with the longer arm or the bigger wheel. And that's what indicates the combination between the smaller wheel and the bigger wheel. And now we would show you how, because of these weights, the wheels would move. Now would see the indication of the animated indication of the bigger wheel, moving the gap filler gear, that is moving another gap filler, and the gear which defines the ratio between bigger wheel and the smaller wheel, and then the movement of the smaller wheel or the smaller gear, and indication of the changeover of weights. Red and blue weights flashing indicate that these places the changeover or the transfer of weights would take place, and this mechanism of transfer of weights is being developed at this moment by us, whereas rest of the things have already been demonstrated by us on the demonstration model. The last item is also being developed, and we are taking help of the two engineers from AWC. They are busy in doing that. I've already made some of the basic elements in relation to the weight transfer mechanism, and this would also be, but it would take, I expect, at least 1 to 2 months, because the sort of intricacies which are involved to coordinate the transfer of weight between two wheels which are moving in opposite direction, and the kind of limitations I had as far as technical expertise concerned. So we would be in a position to complete this, but I'm dead sure before we do that, this smaller aspect of the fabrication could be very well taken care of by the people of the world, with organizations backed by billions and billions of dollars and having expertise of much greater nature. I'm dead sure that this could be done in a much easier manner. And I thought, let's see, if I remain busy in just continuing trying to develop and complete this aspect for another 2-3 months, I think we would be losing a lot of time. So I feel handing over the project in this form is still highly useful and preferable. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, moving ahead. Okay, net benefit of the demonstration model, we have also calculated all that. And this screen provides us all the details of the force differentials of effort arm, the second point related to the opposing leverage, third point, the force needed to take care of resistance, inertia, and weight transfer mechanism, etc., which we have calculated. And finally, net gain of 0.8 units, which is 300% of the present historical mechanism. This I am talking of the demonstration model, which is developing just the basic minimum threshold force to move this mechanism. Whereas this mechanism, if extended to many, many limits, would provide huge amount of residual useful force. The result, net benefit of demonstration model based on first and third class levers against historical proposals, therefore, as far as demonstration model is concerned, also over 300%. which could be increased to any limit. I'm again saying any limit. If we consider that the effort arm could be extended to any limit and the load arm could be restricted to as low as possible. It needs your attention, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, moving ahead. With the freedom to increase the length of effort arm to any value while restricting the load ratios to as less as 0.2 of the basic unit, the net benefits could be increased to values tens of times the historical proposal, which I have already indicated and even claimed. Let me put both the words right here. Proposal that means has the potential to extend the effort arm shown here on the left side of the screen in with red parenthesis to any limit. Whereas on the right side of the screen showing the load arm or the load wheel or the size or radius of the load wheel, which could be limited and restricted to as low as possible. And obviously, the result is that permanent restriction of the load ratios to as low as 2 times of a basic unit, the effort arm getting extended theoretically to huge values. It could convert gravitational force equivalent to tens of mega, giga, or tera times for useful work. Your attention is hereby required. Attention of the expert, attention of the analysts of the subjects is surely required, and we request that. Okay, moving ahead. Comparison of our proposal with the water turbines. A water dam indicated on the right side and left side indicating the water turbine running with this hydel energy, where the water provides the effort arm, and on the other side or the other side of the not the side but the other side of the aerofoil structure of the turbine, we have reduced the load to minimum, to the least, and that is how the or even a simple fan type of turbine which is used by our people in the hilly areas to run small, not turbines, but the small fans for some small minor works, all relates to the fact that one side we have the water falling on the structure, and this structure making use of this, maybe a turbine structure. Being a fighter pilot, fully understand what is the turbine structure, where the load is reduced through the aerofoil design to the least, and you enjoy the lift or lift in a circular manner as far as turbine is concerned, and make use of the water accumulated in the dam. Now its comparison with the proposal. The proposal shown here on the right side, the turbine providing effort and the least load arm. This arrangement of the hydel resources, when we compare it with our gravitational proposal, the throughout presence of gravitational force, the gravitational turbines could provide much greater benefit than hydel, solar, or even wind. Hydel, solar, wind, all are time restricted, all are weather restricted. They have much greater structures at the back of it. Whereas vis-a-vis this, the gravitational proposal we are offering with the kind of theoretically unlimited kind of extension of the effort arm, the proposal could provide much greater benefits, and especially with its simplicity of the structure and throughout round the clock, round the year availability of this force. It would prove greatly beneficial vis-a-vis even hydel, solar, or the wind resources. Surely the fossil fuels will be replaced in a big, big manner if you pay attention to this. Moving ahead, now the same gravitational wheel which you are showing by just one wheel could be developed, put together and developed in the form of gravity fields, we call it. Just see if these gravitational wheels, the structures which I've already shown, if they could be grouped as shown here and provide us accumulated force of its own nature. That means just like the solar fields or the wind fields, we could produce and fabricate what is termed as the gravitational field. However, till date, the development of gravitational field has not happened because of the fact that the gravitational wheels or fabrications of competitive natures had not come up. But now we feel that with this proposal, the gravitational proposal of much greater competitive nature is going to come up, inshallah. And with this, we would be in a position to develop the gravitational fields. That means the proposal also aims to develop the associated method leading to the establishment of gravitational fields with huge benefits. Gentlemen, moving ahead, the screen indicating the gravitational waves we have proposed, their single axial combination forming gravitational field indicated here. In the same very manner, the gate combination of the gravitational wheels or gravitational motor which we propose forming gravitational field. A small bit of comparison of our proposal or the gravitational field with solar. Gentlemen, here the screen indicates a solar cell on the left side, indicated here in the red square, which develops the solar panel. By combining the solar cell, we develop solar panel, and the solar panels are then put together in the form as indicated here in the on the screen in the form of the solar fields. Now let's see how could we compare it to the gravity field. The gravity field, we have taken a simple first class lever only, is more like a gravity cell. This gravity cell could be then with the combination, as we have indicated, of first and second class, third class levers, could then be fabricated in the form of wheels, which we would like to call them a gravitational motor or a gravitational field, as indicated here on this screen. And this combination, that means the development of the gravitational wheel or the gravitational motor proposal, which we've indicated, being depicted again on the screen, could then be, I say again, put together in the form of tens of gravity panels grouped on single axle to form huge gravitational field as indicated here. Just for the sake of comparison, on right side of the screen, a smaller solar field also indicated. The tens of gravity panels geared to form huge gravitational field. One was the previous one was where they were central axles were grouped together. Here they are grouped together through the gears. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the primary benefits of the gravity fields working around the year could provide huge attractions around the year, whereas solar, wind, hydel, all limited to time. Depends what time sun is coming up, where is the wind, how much water we can accumulate, and during winter time or when the monsoon season is not there, the dams go dry, and look at the expenditure we have carried out on the hydel dams and their consequence. Whereas now we are going to actually maybe using a terminology which could be termed as gravity dams. Instead of saying water dams or the hydel dams, gravity dams. And the additional benefits of gravity dams of fields would include clean energy, far exceeding direct effects of the proposal, especially in relation to the climate change issues. Now, benefits of the proposal, ladies and gentlemen. Replacement of fossil fuels, petroleum, coal, gas, etc. Huge benefit. Likely to exceed benefits of the even hydel, nuclear, wind, and solar energies. Again, huge benefits. Significantly reduce the high power transmissions. We could place these gravity dams or the gravity fields at any place, anywhere in the world, and transmission lines, the high power transmission lines, which at times are consuming much more expenditures than the basic resource. We would not require these. Huge impact on climate change, gas emission issues. I don't need to elaborate on this. I think the direct effects may be very well overtaken by the climate change effects of the proposal. Greatly promote food security first by using groundwater. But then groundwater could be used with the help of these gravitational motors without any fuel, etc., and saving water used for electrical generation. In the same manner, help reduce the electrical load shedding, shortages, etc. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, allow me to carry out this 4 or 5 conclusions. Instead of historical use of only first class liver, the proposal employs combination of first class and third class livers. Obviously, it provides separation of the roles of effort oblique longer and load oblique shorter liver arms and wheels, as already explained. It therefore could extend the effort arm to any limits while keeping the load arm to around 0.2 of the basic load values. Obviously, huge amount of gravitational force could be then converted for useful work. Climate change benefits even may far exceed the direct effects. With this, allow me to say that it is evident that the proposal has significant potential to affect economics of the people as well as provide huge social benefits. With this, I would request the attention for additional research of all the experts and people of the world. This attention of especially the concerned experts would be of great value, please. Please, sir. I'm grateful. I'm indicating the registration of this proposal with Pakistan Patent Office on the screen, and the next one, it's the indication of registration with World Intellectual Property Organization under the United Nations, headquartered at Geneva. With this, I would like to say that I'm grateful to all of you for having very, very patient hearing. I know that the issues we have put across would require greater attention, would even require further explanation and dialogue. We will be uploading the paper also, the complete detailed paper along with this presentation on YouTube, on TikTok, and all kind of social media and platforms. And our help, what help I could provide, but our whatever meager help or humble presence is all the time available. All the people of the world, free of the cost. My email address, cell number, etc., email address is all shown here. So we are available to you, sir, in the service of the people of the world. I'm highly obliged. Thank you very much.